Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I'm Patty, and on Mondays I make characters and gnomes and animals. And if you like that kind of stuff, be sure and like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you're notified when I have another video upload. I had a lot of requests last year to make a little Viking gnome, so I finally got him done. If you want to know how to make this little guy, stick around. I'll show you how. Thanks for watching. I love you guys. Okay, first of all, we're going to take a styrofoam ball. It's 3 inches in diameter, and we are just going to cut just above that center line that's on there. And go ahead and cut that off, and then go ahead and lay it on your workbench, and then just go ahead and rub it until it just fills in and is solid and doesn't flake. Next, you're going to take the pattern that I'm going to give you in the description below, and you're going to cut 4 of these pieces, and this is going to be for the helmet. And I am using a premium felt, and you can get that at Joann Fabrics or on Etsy, but you want something a little bit thicker than just the regular felt that you get at Hobby Lobby. Then we're going to start gluing them together. We're just going to go down one side on the curved side, and we're going to glue the 2 pieces together. And then go ahead and open it up, and we are going to glue another piece down on the curved side. And you want to make sure that you're using the same pieces that match, that line up. Open that up, and then we're going to glue that last piece in. Okay, then we're going to open it up, and we're just going to glue those 2 together. So you're going to glue facing sides together. So we're going to make a circle. Okay, next, after that dries, you're going to go ahead and turn it right side out. And just make sure all the seams are showing good. Just open it up real well. And then we're going to slide it right over our half circle, pull it on in where it's tight fitting at the top part, and we are going to start gluing it in all the way around. Okay, next we're just going to start cutting those little tips off of there, those little points on each little corner. Next, I'm taking a 1/2 inch piece of contrasting felt, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue it down one side and then wrap it all the way to the other side and glue it down. Now, I don't have an exact measurement on this, so just measure across the top part of your hat and you'll know. Actually, I was a little bit long on this, and I just had to trim it off. Next, I'm taking a 3/4 inch piece of felt and a 1/2 inch piece of chipboard, and I'm just going to glue these together. I don't have an exact measurement on how long this was. I didn't write it down. Just measure the circumference of the hat. And then we're going to put this right along the bottom edge of it. So you want a little bit hanging over the top part, and that's how we're going to attach it to the hat or to the helmet. And you want to make sure you do use some chipboard or some cardboard because you need some stiffness on this. Okay, next I'm going to take my helmet, and I'm just going to find the middle point on it. Figure out which side I think looks the best. And I'm just going to find my middle point on this one, and I'm just going to start gluing it around. Now I am coming down about 1/4 inch from the top edge. So the bottom part of or the top part of your cardboard is going to be pretty much right on top of this helmet. But take your time on this because you want to make sure this part gets glued in, because this is a major focal point on this cap or on this helmet. And you just want to make sure that you end right in the back on both pieces. We need an overhang on this so that when we put it onto our Viking, it'll come down up over the top of his beard. And then just cut the excess off and glue it down. Next, I got these little small brads at Hobby Lobby. They're just about 1/4 inch wide, and I'm going to put them onto my styrofoam board, and I'm going to spray paint those with Rust-Oleum oil rub bronze paint. Okay, next we're just going to take a 1 inch ball of Sculpey clay in silver, and we roll it in a ball, and then we're going to roll it into a log shape. We're going to make it about 1/2 inch thick because we want the part up against the helmet to be 1/2 inch. Then just start rolling the tip of it until it comes into a point. Now you're going to do this several times because as you're rolling that into a tip, it's going to get longer and longer, but we just want to get it to where it's just above the helmet. So keep playing with it until you get it to exactly the length that you want on both of them. You want to make sure that they match though. Then we're going to cut 2 3-inch pieces of wire, and we're just going to stick it down through the horns. And then we're going to bend them to shape, and then you're going to bake them at 275 degrees for 30 minutes. Just kind of bend it up there to shape. And then go ahead and bake them after you finish the second one. Okay, next we're going to take a small hole punch and punch a hole right in the center of the front, and we are going to start adding our brads. Now we're going to kind of take our time on this and space these out so that we make sure we get them even, and then we're just going to start gluing them in. And then go ahead and bend the back part of the brad over once you get that glued in, and just kind of bend it open. Okay, then we're going to turn around to the back and do the same thing. Now it was a little bit thick, so I had to take a little piece of wood, and I'm going to have to poke a hole with my X-Acto knife because I got too many layers in there. And then after I did the first one, I figured out that really you do not need to put any glue on them. We're just going to open them up in the back. Okay, then turn to the side, punch a hole right in the center. We're just going to take our time on this and make sure we get them spaced out good. So we're going to punch a hole in the center, and then between those 2 centers and the 2 centers there. And same thing on this side. And then just put your brad right through there and just open it up. Okay, next we're going to go over the top, and we're going to space them out about the same distance we did on these, maybe just a little bit closer. And this one we're going to have to glue in because it's going to go through the styrofoam. So just go ahead and poke your hole, get it where you want to, and then just glue it in. And if you can't find the brads at Hobby Lobby, you can get those at any office supply store. They all sell them. And just kind of get it, make sure you try to get those pretty centered in there. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and poke a hole in the side. Now kind of figure out exactly where you want your horns to go. You want to make sure that they go up into the styrofoam. I missed it at one point and had to go back in and poke another hole. But you want to go up probably at least a ½ inch just to make sure that you are going into the styrofoam. And then we're going to glue them in as soon as we get them exactly where we want them. So go ahead and take them back out. We're going to put a little bit of glue inside the styrofoam and a little bit of glue on the horn itself. We're going to use E6000 glue and hot glue. Okay, for the body, I'm using a pool noodle that measures 4½ inches in length, and it's 2¼ inches in diameter. And I'm just gluing it down to a piece of felt. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut all the way around the edge, about a ½ inch away from the noodle. And then I'm going to cut slits in it to go up the side. You want to make sure that you get this glued in good because we are going to add some weighted beads right through the center of it. Just cut it in about ½ inch slits. And then start gluing it in. Now you want to make sure that you try to make sure it's flat as you can get it against that noodle. Now it does melt the noodle a little bit. Everybody asks that, but yes, it does. It doesn't hurt it at all. It still stays intact. Okay, next we're taking a piece of felt that measures 8½ by 6½, and we are going to glue down the 8½ inch side. Now get as close to the bottom, but overhang just a little bit because you don't want to see the base once you get it all rolled up. And then we're going to glue down the side and glue it shut. Now make sure that you spend some time on this. You want to make sure that you do get this sealed in well. Okay, next I'm taking some weighted beads in my funnel, and I'm just going to go ahead and fill the entire center of this with some weighted beads. You can use rice or beans or whatever you want to use. I'm just using weighted beads. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue in around the top part edge just to make sure that's sealed in. And then I'm going to cut this a little bit shorter, but you want to make sure that it folds all the way over to seal that up. So I'm just cutting a little bit off the top, and then I'm going to cut slits in it again, and I'm going to cut about 1-inch slits, and I'm just going to start folding it over, maybe more like 1.5 inch. You just want to make sure that you get that completely sealed across there so that those beads do not come out. And then there I just cut smaller slits, since that one piece went ahead and sealed across the top of it. But make sure you're pushing down on this because you want to make sure it's flat, because that helmet is going to have to sit on top of this, and you want to make sure it is perfectly flat. Okay, next we're going to cut our beard. I'm just going to cut it at 2.5 inches wide by 2.25 inches in length. And then you're just going to cut behind the faux fur all the way around in a U shape. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and cut a mustache, and we're going to cut it at 2.5 inches wide by 1/2 inch long. And that's going to be for the mustache. And then just clean all the excess fur off. Okay, next we're going to take a 3/4 inch piece of felt, and we are just going to glue it right over the seam that we had on the noodle where we put the fabric on. I think this measured about 5 inches in length, and just going to glue it right over the top of that seam. Just kind of make sure you get it centered on there. And then we're going to do the same thing all the way around. I don't have an exact length on this, but it's 3/4 inches wide, and you just want to get enough just to go all the way around your noodle. And just make sure you're finishing it out in the back. Okay, next we're just going to attach our beard. We're just going to put some glue right along the top edge of it, and we're just going to put it right up at the top edge of our noodle. Okay, next we're going to take our mustache. We are going to cut a V right into the center of that to open that up a little bit. And we're going to glue that right along the top edge as well. Go ahead and take your comb and comb it on each side to open up that mustache. And we're just going to glue it right over the top part of that beard. Next, I'm taking some fur, and I'm going to cut it at 2 inches in length. And I'm going to cut it in about 3/8 inches wide. I'm going to cut 2 strips. This is what we're going to put right around his horns. And I just got this fur. I don't even remember where I got it. I've had it for a long time. But just use something that matches your helmet. And don't worry about the length of it. This is about I think this was like a 1.5 inch in length, but we are going to trim it down. So you could actually use anything you want. You could actually use another piece of felt if you wanted to, of the contrasting color, if you didn't want to put the fur around it. But we are going to cut it short just so that it's just a little bit furry. So they end up being about 1/2 inch, I would say. And do the same thing for the other one. Just make sure that they do match. Okay, then we're just going to go ahead and glue it right around the base. And you're going to do both of them exactly the same. Okay, next we're going to cut another strip just like those at 3/8 inches wide by about 15 inches in length. And this is going to be the trim for the jacket. And then go ahead and clean all the excess off and comb it forward, because we are going to trim it just like we did the other. And you're going to trim it to about 1/2 inch wide as well. Okay, next we're going to cut a piece of felt by 5 inches by 6 inches. We're going to fold it over on the 6-inch side, and we are just going to curve the bottom up a little bit to give it the jacket effect. Then we're going to go ahead and take our fur. We're going to find the center point at the very top, and we're going to start gluing it down. Now just go across the sides, across the top, and then down one side on each side. We're not going to do the bottom. Just kind of curve it as you're gluing it, and then we'll trim off the excess when we get to the bottom. And same thing on that side. Okay, next we're just going to put it around the back part of the gnome, and we're just going to glue it around the top part. Just the top edge of that, and just hold it in there real good till it dries, and then we're going to come down both sides. Just make sure you get your hair way out of the way before you start gluing this in. Or your beard way out of the way, not your hair. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and attach the helmet, and we're just going to use some E6000 glue and some hot glue. We're going to go just in the center with the E6000, and then we're going to go over the bottom part and around the sides a little bit on the hot glue. And then we're just going to push it on. Now make sure you push it on good and make sure you let it dry good. Then we'll just go ahead and glue the back part in as well. And then we're going to go ahead and take our comb and we're going to split our front beard or front mustache open, and we're going to attach our nose. Just put it right there in the center, right up underneath that helmet. Okay, next we're going to do the arms. We're going to take this is like a 3/8 inch little noodle, hair noodle. We're going to go ahead and take the wire out of the center of it, and then we're going to cut 2 pieces at 3 3/4 inches in length. Okay, next we're going to cut 2 pieces of fabric at 4 inches by 1 3/4 inches, and we're just going to roll our noodle right up into this. And then just go ahead and glue the back. And do that for both of them. Okay, next we're going to take our wire and we're just going to cut it in half, put the little end pieces back on it, and we're just going to glue it up into the arm. Just put the part that has the little cap on it where your hand's going to go. And then do the exact same thing for the second arm. Okay, next I'm just attaching a 12mm bead to each of the arms for his hands. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and attach his arms. I'm just going to come up to the top part and bend it over about a 1/2 inch to give him a shoulder. And then we're going to glue the fabric to the wire a little bit closer so that it is not so full and bulky. Because we are going to put this whole thing into the noodle, into the body. So make sure you get it closed up really good so you can just put it in there real easily. Okay, I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife. I'm going to come down about 3/4 inch from the bottom ledge of that helmet. And I'm just going to cut a slit in it. And you want to open it up a little bit big because we are going to put that whole arm in there. Put your pliers in there to kind of wallow it out a little bit so you can get that in there. And then we're going to take it back out and we're going to go ahead and glue it in. So put some glue inside the noodle and then put some glue on around the wire and the bottom part, and just go ahead and push it all the way in there. And then just leave it alone until it dries. And we're going to do exactly the same thing for the other side. Just get it pushed in there good and make sure that your seam is facing downward. And just do the same thing with this other arm as well. And then once you get that in there, you want to measure the other arm and make sure the arms are the same length. You want to make sure that you put those arms in there exactly the same length. So those end up being about 3 inches in length, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this one in. Okay, next we're going to put that same trim around the bottom part of his jacket or his arms. I'm just going to cut a little, maybe 1/4 inch strip by about 2 inches. I'm not sure exactly. Just kind of measure it around there, and then we're going to trim it off just like we did the other ones. And then just glue it all the way around on the bottom part of his arm, with the fur going outward. And do that for both of them. Okay, for the little hatchet, I'm just taking a 1-inch ball of clay and I'm rolling it into a log. And it's about a 1/2 inch thick. Then I'm just going to go ahead and take a 1/4 inch dowel stick and push it up into the back part, and I'm going to flatten the front part. Then I'm just going to cut it off to the length that I wanted. Then you go ahead and bake it at 275 degrees for 30 minutes, but make sure that that dowel stick goes all the way through it and don't bake it on the stick. Next, I'm going to take some Wylie antique wax and I'm just going to paint my stick. Now figure out exactly how long you want your stick and cut it off to the length that you want. Next, I'm just going to take some jute twine and I'm going to glue it right up close up to the top where the hatchet would be underneath this. And I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it around, about 3 times and come back up. Go ahead and put a piece of glue on the back part of that to hold it before you start going back up. And then we're going to go back up, crisscrossing it all the way up. And then we're going to cut it off and we're going to put it right up there where that other one is. And that's going to be underneath the little hatchet part. So you want to make sure that you get this pretty flat. Then I'm going to take some E6000 glue and some hot glue. And I'm just going to go ahead and attach this to the little dowel stick. Now we're going to assemble the shield. I'm just going to take a 2 1/4 inch circle and I'm going to glue my little outer circle to this. And again, I've given you all this in the description below to download. You can download it in SVG or PDF, either one. Then we're going to take a 2-inch piece of chipboard and we're going to attach it to the back. Okay, next I'm going to take my hole punch and I'm going to start on one side. I'm going to punch it and then I'm going to punch the other side as well. I'm going to kind of do this across from each other on each of these punches just to make sure that I get everything centered, pretty centered. And I'm going to punch a total of 8 punches on this, as that's how many of the brads I'm going to attach to this. And after you get them all punched in, then we're going to start adding our brads. And we're just going to push it through and fold that backwards, the whole brad section on the back backwards. Because we're going to glue our chipboard on here in a minute to cover all that up so they won't come undone. And then just go ahead and add the other chipboard to the back. And then we're going to add our other piece of fabric to that as well. Okay, next I'm just going to take a 3 1/4 inch circle and I'm going to glue it right in the center. Okay, then I'm going to get a piece of felt. It's probably about a 1/2 inch by maybe 3 inches. And I'm just going to put some E6000 glue and some hot glue and glue that right to the center of the back. That's what's going to hold it onto his arm. Then go ahead and hold his arm out, put some glue on there, attach it to the front part of his arm, and then we're going to wrap that strap around the back. So we're going to actually make it a solid piece so it won't come off his arm. So glue that strap and then glue the other strap over the top of that one. Okay, next we're going to attach the hatchet, just bend his arm in there like that. And then we're going to put some E6000 glue and some hot glue into the hook on his arm, and that's how we're going to attach that. Be sure and use the E6000 glue because it'll really hold up well. Alright, he turned out super cute. Let me know in the comments what you think about him. If you like these kind of videos, be sure and like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you're notified when I have another video upload. Thank y'all so much for watching. I really appreciate it.